Windows 2000 is an operating system, not a video game. Windows 2000 is not a video game. That version of Windows 98 that we looked at previously on this channel, that was released for the NES, that was sold as if it was some sort of mysterious Japanese Famicom game, was a bootleg trying to be passed off as a video game of something that was not a video game. Rant over. Is this bootleg any good? Let's find out in today's video. Welcome to Stuff We Play, home of everything weird and retro. And if that sounds cool to you, why not subscribe? Today we're looking at something very weird. Weird is an understatement. This is perhaps even weirder than previous bootleg games we've looked at. So you boot it up and you have a okay looking startup screen. It certainly does not look as good as the startup screen for Windows 98 for NES. However, much like there, it takes you to a very convincing looking home screen, start screen, whatever you call this. Now there's a couple very big differences between this and Windows 98 for NES. I feel like this was created by a different company, but as I don't understand Chinese, I'm not sure. First things first, there is background music. Very ear-grating background music, which you can thankfully turn off. Then there's icons for you to click on, right? The previously mentioned desktop icons. There we go, that's what's called a desktop. If you go into this thing, which I guess is just a programs list, you'll come across some weird things. A lot of them are just menus that are in Chinese and whatnot, and they lead you to screens where it tells you something loads, and then nothing ever loads, and you have to restart the game. However, there are a few things that either kind of work or do actually work. First things first, sometimes you get to this little game where there's balloons that are carrying Chinese letters, except no controller inputs register here. Furthermore, even though there's a countdown timer, when it runs out, you're just kind of stuck, and so you have to reset. Wow, you know, they really thought this through. I love games where I can get stuck on a screen and yeah. But what else is here? Well, there is an actual playable game here. It's Solitaire. You know, the card game that came pre-installed in like every version of Windows, perhaps at its best in Windows XP. Coming soon to a Stuff We Play near you, Solitaire for Windows, the complete retrospective. No, it's not. But this is a very serviceable version of Solitaire, and it works. There's some menus and stuff for you to play around with, but as I can't read Chinese, I don't know what any of them do. But it works. Furthermore, you have this thing that looks like some sort of MIDI composer, but that doesn't work and you have to reset. There is a version of MS-DOS for you to boot into, which also doesn't work. Now, also of note here is there is an application that works as well, a calculator. So some of you are probably asking, James, why are you excited about a calculator? I don't know, I don't like math, but it's still interesting to see here. I don't think there's ever been a program like this in any sort of NES game. I mean, I'm sure it wouldn't be particularly hard to code, but I don't know, I found it interesting because not only can you bring it up and toggle it on and off and actually resize and close the window, it actually works just like a calculator in Windows. And now besides that, you can restart the quote-unquote computer or turn it off. And you know what happens if you turn it off? You have to reset the game. Yeah, you know, this is a running problem, isn't it? It doesn't feel finished. But then again, if you're passing something off as a bootleg, trying to sell a bootleg version of Windows, of all things, as a video game, I guess you just gotta kind of make it look kind of sort of like Windows, and that's all you gotta do. It's certainly not nearly as functional as, say, that version of Windows XP for Nintendo DS we looked at. Then again, Windows XP DS, Wintendos XP as it was called, wasn't sold as a bootleg. It was just a French-made proof of concept. Don't buy it, obviously. Don't buy bootlegs, you know, and all that legal stuff. But most importantly, it's interesting to look at for 5 minutes. I'm sure if you download and show it to your friends, you know, give them a kick and whatnot, but really and truly, there's a good 10 minutes of enjoyment here and then you're done. You've probably gotten more enjoyment from this video so far, whether you love or hate me, than you would from this game. So with that, leave me your thoughts on bootleg versions of Windows for the NES and other Nintendo platforms down below. Are there other versions of Windows for NES besides 98 and 2000? Apparently there's a version of Windows XP for the NES, but besides hearing that it exists somewhere, I know nothing about. So please leave me info on that, if you know anything about it, down in the comment section below, along with your thoughts on this video and other such things. So with that, remember to subscribe to Stuff We Play for more great content. Thank you very much for watching. Stay classy, and I'll see y'all next time.